Welcome to Teen ypww, Lesson 1. I do not own the rights to this music. The topic is the prophecies of Christ's birth. Our lesson text is coming out of Isaiah chapter 7, verses 14 to 16, and Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 through 7. This is the audio form of Teen ypww only. The memory verse says, "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." And that's Isaiah 7, verse 14. Isaiah chapter 7, verses 15 and 16, "Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know how to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings." Isaiah 9, verses 6 through 7, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this." Today's focus: God reveals his plans for our lives in various methods. The Christmas season is known as the most wonderful time of the year. Many countries around the world have celebrations of some magnitude during this season. For Christians, the value of our celebrating goes far beyond clever marketing and commercial gains made by the retail industry. Whether we have or don't have a Christmas tree, the real meaning of the holiday is our greatest joy. Therefore, teen listeners, don't be disappointed if you do not get everything you want on your Christmas wish list this year. Don't allow commercialism to distort your view of the celebration of the miraculous birth of our Savior Jesus Christ. In this lesson, we will review several of the prophecies of the birth of Jesus that were proclaimed in the Old Testament. God had a plan of redemption for mankind through the gift of his Son. He was careful to advise his people of this plan long before the birth of Jesus Christ. These prophecies were God's promise of redemption, beaconing lights of hope that reminded them that a new covenant was on the way. These prophecies stand today as reminders of the faithfulness of God to bring his prophetic promises to pass. There are over 30 prophecies of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. For our lesson today, we will discuss 3 of these prophecies. Please have pen and paper ready. The Old Testament, number 1, the Old Testament prophecy. He shall be born a king in the line of David. And that's Isaiah chapter 9, verse 7. The New Testament fulfillment is Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. Number 2, the Old Testament prophecy. He shall be born of a virgin. Isaiah 7, verse 14. The New Testament fulfillment is Matthew 1, verses 18 through 23. And the third Old Testament prophecy: kings shall bring him gifts and worship him. Psalm 72, verses 10 through 11. The New Testament fulfillment is Matthew 2, verses 1 through 11. These 3 prophecies are miracles. The masterful planning of Jesus being born in the lineage of David was phenomenal. Our memory verse is the announcement of the virgin birth of Jesus Christ. This birth canceled out the possibility of Jesus having an earthly father. He could not be the son of Joseph and God at the same time. The virgin birth was also a picture of our role in salvation, acceptance. Mary's role was one of submission and obedience. Mary accepted God's gift. Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 through 9 says the work of salvation is done by God alone. The gifts from the wise men were a significant testimony to the world that a king had been born. Being led by God, these wise men were a financial blessing to Mary and Joseph as they presented their gifts to the newborn king. This fulfilled prophecy reminds us that wherever God guides, He will provide. God had a plan and a promise of salvation for His people before the birth of Christ. He has a plan for your life as well. God will reveal His plan for your life in various ways as you walk in the ways of righteousness. God is a wonderful, masterful planner, as we learned in this lesson today. His plans are always better than our own. This lesson reviews 3 of the prophetic declarations of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament. Students, listeners will gain insight into the provisionary attributes of God, who kept His promise by providing a Savior for His people. God announced this plan of salvation to His people hundreds of years before the Savior was born. Students and listeners will learn the significance of the prophesied birth of Jesus Christ. Students will be reminded that God has a plan for their lives as well. God has a plan for your life. It is your responsibility to seek God, to discover His will for your life. There are 2 questions for today. You can write them down on a piece of paper and answer them in your study time. Number 1. The actual event of the birth of Jesus Christ is recorded in the New Testament. Why is it important for us to know and understand the prophetic announcements of the birth of Jesus Christ in the Old Testament? Question 2. God reveals His plans to His prophets so that their ministries may be respected and effective. What are some other reasons that the prophecies of God's prophets are fulfilled? That is the end of our lesson. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.